Y or Z. They may believe in astrology. We have a lot of किसी की सिद्धि है, we have a lot of these things in India. We're not saying that you criminalize it. We are on a very simple point. You have no business to commit any atrocity against women or to torture a woman or violence against women. So that should be clear, because then that's what is going to happen. The whole discussion will then go कि वो ये भी मानता है, वो भी मानता है, ये होता है, अब ये हमारे धर्म को, उसके धर्म को. We're not on that. We're on a very, very simple point. That nobody has a business to touch a woman, label a woman, or to torture her. This is just another form of violence.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
This question is to the honourable member here. I'm Shaju Francis, an advocate, a staunch Christian, and I believe your observation with respect to the changai that takes place is a little out of context, is probably not understood either by you in your personal capacity, with all greatest respect to you, or by the Commission in its official capacity. Changai is any other prayer meeting that happens all over India. Maybe whether you start from a Jagaran, or whether you form a Sai Bhakti Geet or a Mata Ki Chauki, a Changai is very similar to that. You can be rest assured there is no witch hunting in a Changai. A Changai is a gathering of people assisted by a pastor who will invoke the name of gods or goddesses amongst the Christian faith and pray loudly and in a segment of community worship, to the extent that they believe that after the prayer there are people within the gathering who, by the grace of God, miraculously get certain cures which medical science has found it impossible to cope with. I can assure you it is not witch hunting of any manner whatsoever. And therefore, I believe when Dr. Charu Wali Khanna speaks of Changai as witch hunting, I believe that may unfortunately be the official version of the National Commission for Women, which I'm sorry to say so, should not be the case so.
Shazu, I'll just clarify what I said.
Yes.
I just gave this example because I was trying to say that it's nothing against any particular faith. I was trying to say, irrespective of any religion, whether because they have this gaddi ki ladai in different religions. In this case where I had gone, that's why I didn't even use the word witch hunting. I said black magic. Because we have to accept the reality. Money runs religion in India. Irrespective of, and in this case, there was the local church versus this new religious group who was trying to establish itself. You see, it's not because, in every religion, whether it's Christianity or Hinduism, there are different sects. So when the two sects are what they did, that's what I was trying to say, that I wanted to make those villagers aware that you are being misused, you're being misguided by wrong elements who are using your deprivation and targeting. In the fight between those two, the new group, in this case it was a Changai group, not anything, I'm not pointing out to that X or Y Changai, but in this case it was that group who wanted to establish themselves. It was not a very big village, 50 families, maybe how many, 400-500 people, and they wanted to establish their. So how did they do it? They did it through these young unemployed youth. These are 10th class boys, they're educated, but they're hanging around because they don't have. So it's a very deep-rooted socio-economic problem. It's not, and they provoked them. They incited passions. As a result of which the neighbor targeted their own neighbor. They're all relatives. I wouldn't kill my relative, or I wouldn't strip my relative. I wouldn't, paint them black and disrobe them. But why? Why did a person do it? Because they were provoked. So these are religious groups who are fighting for power over people and money. That's why I'm trying to say that we are against the atrocity. Whichever group wants to promote their, thinking, you're free. We're not on that. That's why when she asked this question, I said whether it's astrology, whether it's Shanghai, whether it's occult science, or whether it's everybody, it's a free country, in a democracy, we have a right to believe what we want to. But we have no right to commit violence in someone. So that's what I wanted to express, that this whole discussion then gets sidelined. जो औरत है, उसकी तो आप बारे में हम सोचेंगे नहीं, फिर हम कहीं धन पे चले जाएंगे, कम किसी पे चले जाएंगे. So I totally agree with what you say, and I apologize if it has been taken in the wrong sense, because मैं अभी वहीं से आ रही हूँ, उड़ीसा से आ रही हूँ, बहुत ही सुंदरगढ़ जिले में अंदर का गाँव है जहाँ सड़क भी नहीं. जैसे सड़कें बन रही है प्रधानमंत्री ग्रामीण योजना, बट जैसे कि जिसकी 1000 से कम आबादी है वहाँ सड़क नहीं बनेगी, तो ये वो कहाँ रहा है?
Last two questions, please. Last two. So you and
my
my
question is for Madam Sudhapa. Why did you focus only on the state of Chhattisgarh? You know, because that gives an impression that the problem is prevalent only in that state. No, I've seen cases even in Delhi, even in slums of Delhi or underdeveloped areas of Delhi, where they may not be, you know, physically harassing a lady, but there is an impression that some particular lady, she has, you know, she is doing this kind of witchcraft, and people are a bit, you know, they keep some distance with her, or maybe, you know, socially try to keep some distance with her. Even 40 kilometers away from Delhi, you will find such, you know, cases in most of the areas. So I think the story should have been broad-based, you know, and should have taken elements from different states also. Then it could have been, you know, projected as a national problem, rather than, you know, focusing only on one state.
No, I see the point, but I mean, I don't know whether I should defend myself on the grounds of being a television, reporting for a television channel. No, I just want to say one thing. No, did you see the last line? Did you see the last line? Did you see the last line? That witchcraft is practiced in many parts of India. But it, you know, so see, it's like tomorrow if I do, I do it just see. No, narrative style. One second. Narrative style could be done differently. See, every person who's reporting on a problem might choose to just focus on one state and not because it's not physically. I'm not physically able to go to 5 states.
I'll just excuse me 1 second.
Yeah, please.
I think your question is misplaced. It's not prerogative as a filmmaker to make on whichever part.
As long as it's fair.
At a very historic
As long as it's accurate.
At a very historic juncture.
Next question, please.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
I'll just clarify. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just
Next question.
At the cost of
excuse me. I just want to tell you, she has added that line that it happens all over India. And for your information, I want to tell you, though I did also take Raman Singh's name because he was in the film, but Chhattisgarh is the most effective state in curbing. Its law is, because this was maybe 2-3 years ago.
No, 9 years back.
9 years back. And after
Before
this,
the law.
so let me give credit to her. After this film, in these 9 years, Chhattisgarh is the leading state in curbing this. And one, just I think last month I had gone, State Commission said एक आया था केस वो land grab का था. तो इसने खत्म किया है. They have in fact theirs is almost a model law.
So just imagine, ma'am, if you make a film on all states-wise, how it will curb. The government will work probably.
I don't think the channel would afford to send me to all the states.
Last question, please. Last question. Just one last question and then
I've
you're
got a
done.
question to this panel. When we talk about atrocities against women, we see that it's pretty prevalent. Like we find it everywhere. And if we talk about there being a vacuum in law, I don't think there's been a vacuum in law because we have several legislations like the Domestic Violence Act, and there are a lot many legislations protecting the interest of women. But the question is, how far are they enforced? How far, we don't find enforcements in legislation. We don't see that the legislation is actually brought to practice. So, I've seen I just got to see in this documentary that even the bureaucrats and even the politicians are involved, and even they have been, even they carry such kind of a belief with them. So we can, as you say it, that one of the major reasons why we have such atrocities is because of illiteracy. Now, when we find that such people like politicians and bureaucrats getting involved in this, then how do you wipe out and how do you enforce the legislation, even if we consider that this legislation comes in practice? Then what mechanism do you suggest to enforce such kind of a legislation, despite having so many legislations in India which are not being enforced and which is almost futile, which we cannot count it in their existence. So how would you respond to this? This is Chirantini Chatterjee.
I know you're addressing the question to.
I'm addressing this question to the whole panel. It can be answered by anyone.
We hope that this seminar will come out with some recommendations which will forward to the government. And since the National Commission for Women is the sole institute which makes recommendations to the central government on issues relating to women, which they must follow. So thank you very much.
What is my answer as if now? Like, how do you answer?
There are no quick answers, let me tell you that. We are all aware that we have many laws which are not being implemented properly. So we have that.
Thank you.